Hi there, this is Sicheng from Middle Class Motoring. I am now driving, I'm about 2 hours out of Kansas City and I'm driving to a friend's place in Indianapolis. Now I know the last time I came to you, I was entering Colorado and driving through Colorado, and so this video log has pretty much skipped the whole of my leg from Colorado to Kansas City. The reason for that is because that was the only leg of my journey where I had friends in the car, and we were just chatting, and I thought it might be a little strange if I got my friends to record this for me. So, but here I am again. I went with some friends. I stayed with a friend in Colorado, and then we drove together to Kansas City, and spent fantastic time there. And now I'm driving by myself again to Indianapolis, and then hopefully the day after that I'll get to New York. But that's kind of a long drive, and we'll see if I need to break it up. So updates since then. I have driven just over 2,400 miles since leaving Mountain View, California, which is a little bit south of San Francisco. It is now a week and a day since I have left, and I haven't been driving the whole time. You know, I spent 2 or 3 days in Colorado Springs with a friend, and then 2 of us drove out to Kansas City together. The drive out to Kansas City was really not as boring as many people have warned me. It's really kind of like driving on the I-5, which I've said many times, just because I guess I've driven the I-5 in California so many times. There's not much around, no, not that many towns, not that many hills through Kansas, but at least it's green, and at least there aren't that many farms. Like, you would think farms are interesting, but after you've passed like 5 farms, they all start looking the same, and the I-5 is full of farms. So driving into Kansas was pretty alright actually. Plus I had a company in the car, so I'm sure that made things much better. Driving from Colorado into Kansas, we actually hit a spot where we were just driving through intense fog. You could barely see about 2 or 3 car lengths ahead of you. So that was pretty interesting. And a little spooky too. It felt a bit like we were driving through a twilight zone. Other than that, the drive was great. And driving, once you get closer to Kansas City, the hills start coming out, and the clouds, you're still at a pretty high elevation, so the clouds are pretty close to the hills, and you can see the shadows of the hills and stuff. It's interesting. Other things to note about Kansas City, and actually just where I am in general, especially driving through, I guess what would now be the Midwest. First of all, people don't seem to use their turn signals much in Kansas City, like when they turn. So that was just a little thing that my friend, whom I was hanging out with there, who's from California, pointed out. The other thing also is that this car that I'm driving, this 99 Honda Accord, which by the way has been getting me 32.5 miles to the gallon, which is pretty good. I'm sure I can get 33 or 33.5 if I didn't have all this stuff in the trunk. But this Honda Accord, when I first picked it up in California, one of my first thoughts was that I would never have one of these cars just because it's so common. There's so many of these Accords around. It's quite ridiculous. And there's so many Camrys around. And now that I'm out here, I mean, there's still quite a lot of Hondas and Toyotas, but definitely not as much as in California. And you definitely see a lot more Chevys, you know, SUVs. A lot of Toyotas you see are the SUVs, like the Sequoia and Highlander. You don't see as many Scions. You definitely don't see as many. There's very few Mazdas around here. And yeah, you see, you know, Fords, lots of Tauruses. I've seen quite a few Buicks, which aren't very popular in California. And I think besides, so it seems like the further east you go, so far at least, the more pro-America, you know, the car buying culture seems to be. But I suspect one of the reasons for that is actually that the West Coast, well, I mean, the West Coast is more Asian. There's a larger Asian population the further west you go in the States. And also, the West is just closer to, the West Coast is just closer to Asia. So maybe, I don't know what the differences in import charges are, but I suspect it might cost a little more to import a Japanese car to the East Coast than to the West. And all the big American, all the big three, you know, GM, Ford, and Chrysler all have their headquarters and their factories in Michigan and places closer to the east. So maybe that's another factor, but I don't really know. But it is interesting. John pointed out to me that out here there really aren't even that many BMWs, which there are plenty of in San Francisco and around San Francisco. So that's interesting. Other things, other updates since then, since the last video. The GPS has continued to frustrate me, and I maintain my stance that if you go on a road trip, please check your directions with a map, with Google Maps. You know, actually don't just follow the directions, but look where it's taking you. Actually, even Google Maps has screwed us up. We got into Kansas City and we went straight to the airport to pick up another friend who just flew in. And Google Maps basically took us onto this really in the middle of nowhere country road. It was a tiny road. We were passing by this huge corn farm, and we got to this little road and it said Kansas City International Service Road. So that's where Google Maps took us when we wanted to go to the airport. And just now, keying in, I want to go to the Gateway Arch in St. Paul, Missouri, and I keyed that in, and it found it into the GPS, and it found it. And it gave me directions to get off the 70 and follow a route that was basically pretty much parallel to the 70, except none of it was on freeway. So it was really, really strange, and I was just glad that I didn't just rely on the GPS, but I actually checked Google Maps and checked what the best way was to go myself last night. Because I just kept going on the 70, and after about 20 minutes, it recalculated itself, and now it tells me just stay on the 70, which is of course what I should do. Yep. So I think that's about it for now. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you again in maybe another 6 hours or so. So happy motoring. Take care. God bless. Bye.